Well, hello there. Thank you for joining me here at the Life Sex Cookbook. Once again, I'm Linda. Today, the chocolate chunk cookies. That's what I've just taken out of the oven, and we'll see whether they're good, because the list of all the things that I've done wrong with this recipe this time is immense. We'll see how the product is. If this is your first time or you've watched before and you still haven't subscribed, subscribe. You know, this is all about subscribing. If I could actually say the word right. Subscribing. That's the name of the game. So if you feel like it, subscribe. The world right now kind of sucks. Large parts of it. And so I'm kind of hoping that maybe, you just hanging with me here, we can sort of take our minds off of it a little bit. So today, how to take our minds off of the rest of the world. Well, I'm going to tell you about cats. Now, when my husband died almost 8 years ago now, a few people in the early days said to me, you should get another cat. And I have resisted that for now almost 8 years. And one of the ways I've done that is, of course, I tell people that I'm on the cat patch. It's like a nicotine patch, but it keeps you away from cats. It controls the cat urges, of which I have many, because I am a cat person. I love all the animals. I love the dogs. You've seen my little grand doggie, and I love her to itsy bitsy pieces. But in my soul, I'm a feline fan. Let me tell you about my cats and sort of give you many reasons why I'm taking a break. I had cats as a kid, of course. My dad was the animal lover. He liked cats, although he didn't really know how to take care of them properly. This is years ago and a different time, and we didn't take care of these pets the way we should have. When I was finally living on my own, I got my first cat that was all mine. I was living in an apartment, brand new apartment, freshly built. I've only been in it probably for maybe 6 months, not that long. And I decided I wanted to get a cat. I had these leather love seats, these pearly pink leather love seats, which I adored at the time. So I went to the SPCA because I had seen that they had a cat there up for adoption that had had its front claws removed. Now, I would not condone that today. I would not do it. I would not do it to a cat, but I thought, well, front claws removed, and I got these leather sofas. That would be handy. Anyway, the one that I initially saw was not there, but there was another one, this sort of tortoiseshell. She also had her claws taken out. So I thought, okay, I'll take you home. This will be perfect. From the moment I got her, probably the next day when I fed her breakfast, I didn't know much about her, so she probably had been a stray, lost cat. As soon as she would have her breakfast in the morning, she would throw up her food in its entirety on my fresh carpet of this brand new condo that I had just purchased. And if I didn't get to that fast enough and get it cleaned up, she'd sort of circle around and then she'd go back and she'd see this on the carpet and she goes, oh my God, Linda's just putting the food right on the floor for me. That is so convenient. And she'd start eating it again. So I had to get this stuff cleaned up really fast. So that was the beginning. I had Cleo for 10 years and she barfed on pretty much everything I had. And also the leather love seats. She didn't have her front claws, but she had her hind claws. And I don't know what she was doing. I think she was getting up on the sofa and then doing sort of these cartoon starts. The back feet would just go like this. So there were scratches all down the cushions, which I had to have fixed a couple of times. And then I got rid of them. I got a cloth sofa because that was just a complete disaster. So she had some problem from the time I got her. She's probably an older cat. They didn't know exactly how old she was, but she was probably much older than even they thought. And I had her to the vets many times trying to track this down. We just opened her up and went on a hunt for like a safari for my vet. Here, please take this money and see what new lands you can discover. But we didn't find the problem that she was suffering from. 10 years, and we had to have her released from that situation. And then the very next day, we went to the SPCA to get a replacement. I wanted a kitten this time. I wanted to sort of have this cat from almost the beginning. So we knew as much as we could know about this. So we got Nelson. Nelson was adorable, and I loved him to bits. He was a very sensitive soul. We loved him. And not long after we got Nelson, my dad died. And they had a cat at that time, Mitzi, who was also an adorable, lovable cat. She used to love to grab Bob's head and lick his head constantly. You could not pick this cat up. You pick that cat up, Jinsu knives. I think I got it once, picking her up, and Bob certainly did. We were trying to clip her nails. She would scratch you, but if you didn't let go of her long enough, then she would pee on you. Aside from that, a lovable cat. And she loved Nelson and Nelson loved her. And my mom was really not the pet person. So we said, we'll take Mitzi. We had her for maybe a year or so, and then Mitzi also started vomiting on every piece of upholstered furniture, carpeting, everything that we had. So we knew something was wrong. Took a little while to find it, and we had a holistic vet at the time who was a real vet. I mean, he was a real vet, but he'd sort of branched off into this other, and so we messed around probably a bit too long, and ultimately, had to go and have her scanned. And in the end, we found out she had lymphoma. We made her as comfortable as possible, and then a few months later, she had to be dispatched. So then we were back to just Nelson. About a month and a half after that, he's kind of wandering around the house, and he's sort of whining and meowing, and I think, oh, he's lonely. He's lonely. We need to get him a play pal, somebody as playful as Mitzi was with him. And I realized later that was just the way he meowed. He wasn't lonely. And cats aren't pack animals like dogs. They don't need company that way. But we went searching for somebody who would be playful with Nelson. And we found someone who we named Winston. He was playful, but a week after we got Winston, I found a wet spot on the duvet in the spare room. I thought it was Nelson. I thought Nelson was so upset by the arrival of Winston. 2 male cats. Didn't get along the way Mitzi and Nelson got along. They weren't trying to kill each other, which is what my first cat, Cleo, if I brought another cat into the vicinity of her when I had her, she tried to kill this cat, even though she had no front claws. She tried to rip cats' throats out. So they got along, but I thought Nelson had been so thrown by this cat that he was starting to pee on things because he was such a sensitive boy. I immediately thought, we need to take Winston back. We can't live with that. But at the time, we were just about to sell our house. And so we shipped the cats off to my mom's place. And then she had them for 3 months. And so she fell in love with Winston. And by the time we got him back, we couldn't get rid of him. He was a part of the family. And that was the beginning of 12 years of peeing. I realized after we had to put Nelson down in 2015, once he was gone, I realized it was Winston who was peeing on everything. And I used to say in the first, years that I got him, because Winston was such a lovable guy, he was such a lovable creature. And I thought, why did anybody give this cat up? Because he was peeing on everything. Here's the story. So one night, Bob and I were going to go out to see a friend's daughter who sings with a band at a casino. I'm getting dressed up. I've decided what I'm going to wear. Kind of creamy white top, but it had sequins in it. And I was wearing this with sort of these lame type pants. I'm all ready. I'm getting dressed. I had my sweater in the closet, and I pull the sweater out and I put it on. And I think, oh my God. And I smell it. And I know it's been peed on. And I don't know what to do. I don't know, because I wanted to wear that. And I thought, okay, I don't know what else to wear. I'm going to wear this. Nobody will notice. I'll put some perfume on. No one will notice. So we get there, and then, Bob and I at some point get out onto the dance floor and we start dancing. Your body heats up, right? You start to warm up because you're dancing. And all of a sudden, I'm getting these wafts of cat pee, just wafts and wafts of cat pee. And I thought, oh my God, I got to get away from people. I have got to get away from people. Now, Nelson, he was such a sensitive cat with the litter boxes, and I had multiple litter boxes. He would always poop just outside the box, not in the box, just outside the box. I always had to have a mat there. And I would say to him, Nelson, for God's sake, it's think outside the box, not poop. You poop inside the box, you think outside the box. Speaking of cat turds, J.D. Vance. So my life with these cats has been peeing, puking, and pooping. Oh, never mind that the furniture was all ripped to shreds. And I run into people all the time. I say, well, the cats, they just tear the furniture apart. And they go, oh, my cat never attacks the furniture. And I want to punch them. Because I figure perhaps your cat is special. You've got like the 1 in 3 million cats that doesn't do that. But all of my cats, except for the one, Cleo, she didn't have the front claws, but she would go to the drawer and she'd get a pair of scissors and she'd rip the crap out of the furniture. So I don't want to go through that. Never mind the vet bills. Oh, yes, and by the way, these are indoor cats, always indoor cats. Nelson ended up as an indoor cat with a sliced tendon in the back of his foot. I won't go through how he got that. And also, he had a blocked penis. And that was a massive amount of money at the old vet's because he had a tiny little grain of something in his very, 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 very tiny penis. Don't tell male cats that. I don't think they can bear the thought of just how tiny their peni. What is the multiple of penises? Penises? Peni? Whatever. They're tiny. All of that has added up to me not having a cat for now. I may change my mind. Believe me, you may see me do a video where I go, oh, last week I said no, but I took the patch off. I saw this beautiful cat. And now I got a cat. And I've also watched these videos with this guy, Jackson Galaxy, who's a cat expert, going through the things you should do to raise a cat that becomes a valuable member of society. You know, like if you have 2 cats, you have to have 3 litter boxes and you got to spread them all over your home. And he says, so that means if you've got a litter box in the living room, then put it in the living room. Thank you, but no. Okay, that's, I hope, taken your mind off the rest of the world. Let's try a cookie. I already took a bite of this one. Sorry. I just wanted to test it. The mistakes I made. I forgot I didn't have enough all-purpose flour. It needed 3 cups of all-purpose flour. I had only like 1. I ad-libbed. I went rogue. So I mixed 1 cup of all-purpose flour, 1 cup of whole wheat flour, and then a cup of gluten-free flour. So let's see. I put chocolate chunks in instead of chocolate chips. That probably will save this, all the chocolate. It was called for salted butter. I only had unsalted butter, so I added some more salt. It's not bad. It's a Linda Cullen original. That's how I know it's mine. You know, years ago, I did this needlepoint for my mom as a present, so it took me like a year to do it. It's fairly big, of these birds. So the day I took it to have it all framed, sitting on the counter, and I'm waiting for him to, you know, get something, come over, whatever. And this woman comes in after me, and she's standing beside me, and she's looking at the canvas, and she just leans in and she goes, oh, you missed a stitch. 1 stitch. And I said, oh, well, that's how you know it's a Linda Cullen original, because I always leave something out. And every time I looked at that thing, whenever I was at my mom's, all I could see was that 1 stitch missing. But perhaps that's for my therapist. Anyway, the recipe will be, the link to the recipe, I'll never get it right. The link to the recipe will be in the description if you want this recipe. I mean, I'm sure this recipe it'll be much better if you just use the all-purpose flour. Otherwise, I appreciate you coming and hanging with me, taking my mind off what's going on out there. So we'll do it again. I'll see you next time. Thanks. Not bad.